Have you seen the Matthew McConaughey AI privacy commercial?
No.
Let me show it to you. It annoys me every time it comes on. And I think this will be a great way to introduce our vlog this morning about AI and privacy. Here it is, and maybe I'm just seeing it too many times, but
If AI is the Wild West, does that make data the new gold?
Oh, that's great. So I
yeah.
assume what they're saying is that particular company is going to do a good job of protecting your data and your privacy, the Salesforce. Is that the point of the ad?
I'm guessing I have their website up and I looked at it a little bit, but um when you go there, it doesn't necessarily like focus on the AI, and it is just salesforce.com. And let's see, it's products. Let me get, oh, it has a category. So it does more than just AI, but let me share my screen again. And then yeah, so when I hit the products, go, it artificial intelligence is a separate category, but you also have all these other things that they do as well. So I wonder, let's see. Yeah, it looks like they have a lot of products, and of course, I'm guessing their focus now is shifting to artificial intelligence based on the fact that, AI is kind of the topic that's out there now. Um, yeah, so the the one thing that I was thinking about when I started my research on AI privacy is that it shouldn't be any different for school districts, and I'll finish that statement. It shouldn't be any different for school districts than what they've already been required to do. It may require them to think differently about upload of data through the administration, the sharing of data. They're going to have to do some kind of instruction for teachers for them to understand what you do or do not share, how they should use AI. But they shouldn't have been, when Google came out, they shouldn't have been putting that stuff in Google. You shouldn't be putting students' names or information. You shouldn't be putting data that's very secure in the school district. You wouldn't put Tanya Sanders' social security number in a Google search, let alone a Chat GPT. So I think that based on my research is that whatever tech directors are already doing, the knowledge of AI and knowing it's out there, they just need to remind the teachers and the students not to share data in a special way, because certain AI generators are going to keep that information to learn, to train itself on how to answer people faster based on the requests that are coming out and that kind of stuff. But that's what I found, and you guys can continue with
Well,
that. But
so one of the things that's really interesting is how incredibly easy it is to have that information spread without even knowing it. Let me share my screen here, and I'm going to go into Google Bard, which many people have access to. And I know things are going to be sort of small, but if you go to bard.google.com and log in with just your regular everyday Gmail account that you always use, this is the free version. It's available to absolutely anybody with a Google account, including teachers, if your tech administrator has enabled it for your school account. And it's the same thing for students. So at a school level, they have the ability to enable or disable any of these features, but it is there. And if your district permits it, it is a free additional program that's out there that you can use. So I'm showing the free version. You don't have to have Google Enterprise or anything like that. completely free to anybody if your school chooses to turn it on. So when you turn it on, you know, you enter the prompt, you ask the Google anything, you know, what are good pizza places in Ohio? Okay, that's something that you could have asked Google anytime you wanted. And then it talks about short north and so forth. You can also ask things that are, you know, much more AI-like, you know, write a 300-word essay on why you should not drink in January and what sober really means. Right? Now notice I had some spelling errors in there. Google doesn't care. It you know, or Bard does not care. It figures things out. And I probably shouldn't have done what I just did. And here's why. You know, because now Bard knows I'm interested in alcohol. Maybe it thinks I'm an alcoholic because I'm interested in how to say sober and so forth. Up in the right-hand corner is a little thing that looks like a clock. It's Bard activity. Most people don't even know it's there. Even folks that use these tools frequently don't realize what that Bard activity is all about. So you go in there, and here is where it says Bard will take your questions and use that information to build its database. It's saving information here, and you can go in and turn that off. And now my activity hasn't been deleted. So anything I've typed into it before I turned off, it still knows. And there's almost no way of getting rid of it. There is a procedure if you've got something in there that is extremely sensitive data, and you want it. So I go to delete activity from my account. That just basically is going to, and actually I'm not going to do it here right now, delete the information from my account. Google still knows it. It is using that information for training purposes, as they call it. Let's take, so if we go in here and see, you know, if you want to have a little bit more security, go into Google and turn off that sharing function. Again, that's in the top right-hand corner. It looks kind of like a clock, but it might still be using that information for training. Wait, there's more. If I'm writing a essay, an assignment using Google Docs, and Google Docs now has the capability of using artificial intelligence to help you write the assignment. When I turn off Bard activity, that only turns off the information when I'm logged into Bard. The artificial intelligence that is used when I'm writing my assignment with Google Docs, that's still saving information, and it saves it among everything that I do. So my Google Docs knows it, my Google Spreadsheets knows it, my Google Slides knows it. If I haven't turned off activity tracking, my Google AI, my Google Bard knows it. So within Google, that information can be shared. If AI has it, basically AI knows it. You can turn off the activity tracking with that little back, and that will provide some additional protections. It's certainly not a cure-all. It doesn't solve everything.
Does Bard still have some kind of a suggestion that only 18 and older are permitted to use Bard, or have they changed that?
So the last I looked, their policy was allowing 18-year-olds and above to do everything. Certain things were permitted for those over 13, from ages 13 to 18, with some restrictions. But here's the fun fact. When you ask the Google AI, what are some great uses of Bard for young students, it tells different ways for students to get in and engage with itself. So while the policy technically says it, there's really absolutely no checks, no balances, no submitting a certificate other than saying, yes, I'm over 18. So anybody who makes any Google account can get in and use it. So, and it's the same thing with many other factors of the internet. You're not supposed to look at certain kinds of pictures, pornography, alcohol ads, smoking. There's a whole list of things you're not supposed to be viewing if you're under 18 years of age, but there's no way to stop it other than parental monitoring. Hey, what is my kid doing? So Chat GPT has something similar, and I'll bring that up here.
Well, while you're getting that up, Roger, one of the resources that I am including on our resource page, it said, Chat GPT's terms and services require you to be at least 13 years old and require parental consent for any user under 18. While you're not going to be able to stop students from accessing the program on their own time, it is not okay for them to use it directly in the classroom. So it doesn't mean that they still can't benefit from, using AI. It just means they need to do it indirectly through programs that will allow the technology that doesn't give access to their data, kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of like any of the other programs. I mean, you and I, Roger, had dealt with this in one of our districts where way before AI was a conversation, the school district was writing to every website, resource, online tool that the district wanted to use and asked them if they would sign this paper that says, you promise to protect my students' data. And if they didn't say yes, then the district wasn't allowed to use it, teacher and or students.
Yes, and again, having good permissions, easily to understand rules and classroom policies is important. And I'll be completely frank, we're not going to stop the kids from doing it on their own time. But what we can do, to a large extent at least, is make sure that if a parent complains, and I use that term, if a parent complains or objects to something, at least we will have a policy that we can say, here's my policy. And we are doing our best as teachers, as a district, to enforce this policy to keep your kids safe. But, we can't control them 24 hours a day, but we are doing this to help keep their data and their information safe. Now, for teachers, let me show you, I just showed you about how on Bard, you can go in and limit some of the information it collects on you on the searches you're doing. I'm going to go into Chat GPT and show you there as well. So here I am, I'm logged into Chat GPT. Again, this is the free account. There's all sorts of different tools. But what's not so obvious, if I click on my profile down here in the lower corner and I bring it up, I've got two things, one of which is custom instructions and the other is settings. These are both powerful tools. Custom instructions, you can tell it things. As a teacher, I am a third grade teacher. My students' reading abilities are between 1st and 5th grade level. Whenever you create materials for my use in my classroom, make sure there is a version for struggling readers at the 1st grade level, and make sure there is a second version for my advanced students at the 5th grade level, as well as a version for students that are at 3rd grade reading level. I mean, you can tell it that in the instructions, and it will do it. Whenever you say, create this for the students in my classroom, it will create 3 versions. It knows that about you. Incredibly powerful. Here is, so custom instructions, lots of things you can do. You can tell it not to do something. I never want information about alcohol in any of my responses, whatever you might want to say. That's instructions. Let's look at settings. If I go to settings, here I see delete all chats, general, I can delete my chats, but the fact I delete them, that really just means I can't see them. The artificial intelligence still knows they're there. There is a policy or a procedure. You can contact them, you can write them, you can say, please get rid of this data. It's cumbersome and frankly, I mean, it probably works, but it's probably something we're not going to do. But that's general. But take a look at this, data controls. So in data controls, I can chat history and training. By default, that's turned on. So by default, you are giving ChatGPT permission to take anything you ask it, any of your prompts, any of the questions that you feed to ChatGPT. You're giving permission for them to save that information and to use whatever you typed in, not just for you, but for anybody that is using ChatGPT. And when it says for training, that means that data might be saved. And we have a real example with this. I'm going to stop my screen share on this. So this happened for real. We were doing a workshop. We had people playing around, trying to see what the AI would generate in different types of information. And, one of the things, do your first things, just something fun, something, what's the best pizza places in the town I'm going to, or, who has the, what are the best fast food restaurants in this town I'm going to visit, or the best bakery. And that's one I've done for real. So you ask it something that's kind of fun. So we had one of the participants in the workshop ask, what's the best pizza places in Findlay, Ohio? And it came up with a list of the best pizza places. We said, actually, we told it we wanted 5, and it gave us 5 with addresses. And that was pretty interesting. Totally separate inquiry. What are the best restaurants in Findlay, Ohio? Tell us in 300 words or less. So it said, here's some great restaurants, and it listed, some of those that if you went to Yelp or someplace were, on the top of the list. Then an entire paragraph. Pizza is also popular in Findlay. Here are the best pizza restaurants. It had word for word the pizza restaurant response that had been a totally separate inquiry. So because of the questions that were being asked in our class in different inquiries, it knew, it had in its database, what are the best pizza places? It had found that information and remembered it and used that information in a totally different search.
Was that 2 different people or the same
Yeah,
person?
two different searches, 2 totally different things.
But I
but
mean,
we-
2
we were
different
talk-
people. 2 different
Yeah.
people made that?
Yeah, so what I had done,
Question?
I'd instructed the teachers, I said, okay, you've seen my demonstration. So it was actually me who did the demonstration on the 5 pizza places. And then I said, go ahead and do your own searches. So another teacher did a search, not logged into my account, did a search on what are the best restaurants in Findlay. And by the way, this was not Findlay City Schools. And we try and never disclose specific district or teacher information in our vlogs here, but it was a school where that's a place that they go to get pizza and other items. So yeah, totally separate search, unrelated to mine. What are the best restaurants in Findlay? And the information that my search had discovered was in their result, word for word.
Yeah. A couple comments as we close here. You make 2 good points and reiterated one of mine. One, people have to be informed of this, like the settings and the turning that off or deleting data, all that kind of stuff. There has to be some kind of training involved. And it
Yes.
surprises me when districts are just nonchalant in regards to AI policy writing. I have been trying to push some districts, to writing AI policy and then, starting that process and then educating the teachers and therefore then the students on these things. And it's just a slow process. And I think it has a little bit to do with maybe a little bit of the attitude of oh, well, my data's out there anyways, like, and, you know, people are gonna know things, but also we have to remind individuals, just as I have to teach my young children, not to share private information on VR as they're chatting with people, or on, you know, video games. If a message comes up and someone asks them a question, they're not supposed to share private information. But I think knowledge is power. People have to know and inform their teachers, inform their students of the things that are going on.
So let me share a statistic, and I always love research, and I mean, we're not just making this stuff up. Oh, maybe some, but I mean, this is, you know, research-based, observational evidence, and obviously the research in artificial intelligence is very limited. It's only been generally available for just over a year. But research says about 80% of high school students have used artificial intelligence for at least, to help them complete at least one assignment. Many high school students are using artificial intelligence routinely to complete their assignments. We're looking 80% range. You look middle school, we're more like around 50% range. And still half our kids. Number of teachers using artificial intelligence on a regular basis is less than 25%, is what our research is showing us. Depending on the district and training that they've had, Tanya, it's sometimes less than 10%. So we've got 80% of our kids using this tool, and as little as 10% of our teachers. This is a huge, huge issue in terms of, you know, we all have to be aware of this, and we all have to be looking information. We don't need one more thing, but we do have to talk about this. And I'm just excited about the potential. Overall, it's a good thing, but we have to be aware of how it works.
Exactly. And final comment here is, I'm glad that you spoke about us not sharing information, because that's the same thing. One, yes, we're recording this, but we have an Otter AI running in the background, and it's documenting all of everything we're saying. So if we start talking about certain information regarded personally or privately with our own lives or districts that we work with, then that data is out there possibly. And because we're not understanding all of the privacy with the AI tools that we use. So
You know what, let's do another session.
we are modeling, which is huge. Teachers and districts should be modeling the use of AI, the responsible use of AI. And then the students will understand how they're expected to use it. You can't know what you're supposed to do unless someone tells you what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
And you can find all of the resources that we've referenced on the link on your page right now. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week. We just kind of start chatting as we're recording, and then topics come up. But sure, we'll have something interesting for you to join us in our next episode. So thank you, and have a nice day.